Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the India Today Conclave here in Mumbai, where we are joined by a very special guest, someone well known to this part of the country because he delivered 8 budgets and 1 vote on account, delivered what many people believe was India's dream budget of the late 90s that brought taxation rates down, which is always supported by all of us, has played various roles, finance minister, home minister, and indeed, in his latest avatar, was the chairperson of the Congress manifesto for 2024, which became a huge talking point. Please welcome Mr. P. Chidambaram. Mr. Chidambaram, let me start by asking you, and I want an honest answer. The reason I say it, politicians often don't give honest answers, if I may be allowed to say that. Were you also surprised by the Lok Sabha elections and the fact that the Congress party appeared to exceed all expectations by winning 99 seats?
I was not surprised by the results in Kerala and Tamil Nadu. I was unpleasantly surprised by the shortfall in Karnataka and Telangana, and I was pleasantly surprised by our success in the Hindi-speaking states.
So, the Hindi-speaking states is what surprised you?
Yes.
Particularly, presumably, the state of Uttar Pradesh, along with Rajasthan and Haryana. But I want to ask you this, Mr. Chidambaram. At the end of the day, the Prime Minister of the country, for a record third time, or record equaling third time, is Narendra Modi ji. The BJP won 240 seats. The Congress has won 99. Even your India alliance taken together has won less than the BJP. Is there a acknowledgement that for all the rise in the Congress vote share and seats, we still have a BJP-led, Modi-led government? Does the Congress acknowledge that? Because sometimes you get the impression the Congress thinks they won the election.
No, I don't think anyone in the Congress says we won the election. The point is against the money, muscle and manipulation of the BJP, the numerous cases that he had instituted against the political opposition leaders, the freezing of the bank accounts of the Congress party on the eve of the election. We complain about what happened in Bangladesh and in Pakistan and in Venezuela, but nobody complains about, nobody protests about these enormous hurdles that were placed in the way of the opposition. We have overcome the obstacles and reduced BJP to less than a majority. My goal was, if BJP can be reduced to a majority, things will change. And I think we have achieved that goal, and we are entitled to celebrate achieving that goal.
Are you saying, therefore, the elections were not free and fair? Is P. Chidambaram saying that 2024 elections were not free and fair?
Of course, they were not free and fair. How can we fight an election with one hand or both hands tied behind our backs? Our bank accounts were frozen. Please understand that. Can you imagine any other country, say the American elections are going to take place, if the bank accounts of either one party or other party are frozen? Would you accept that as free and fair elections? They were substantially, people were allowed to vote, but there were so many hurdles placed in the way that they are less than fair and less than free.
You're saying that less than fair, less than free. There will be those who say, and we'll come to your manifesto which you brought with you in a moment, but the fact is that the Congress also claimed Samvidhan khatre mein hai. Rahul Gandhi was going around the country with a pocket constitution in his hand, claiming that the constitution was in danger if the BJP was re-elected. Did you willfully spread this misinformation, disinformation, that if the BJP comes to power, reservations will go and Samvidhan khatre mein hai? So, while the elections you claim are not free and fair, did the Congress also play fair?
The constitution was in danger. I have campaigned in hundreds of villages. You think The concern is only in a city like Mumbai or Delhi. In the villages, in that short 5-7 minute speech, I have pointed out that the constitution is in danger.
How?
Because they will amend the constitution. If you did not get the feeling in Delhi, after so many years in Delhi, that they were preparing to amend the constitution, I think you are naive. Even after getting only 240 seats, they are planning to amend the constitution.
Mr. Chidambaram, the Congress party didn't just say amend the constitution. They said reservations will be taken away.
Of course it will
You
be
really
taken.
believe that reservations would be taken away by any government today in India?
It's not any government. It's Modi government. And Modi government will not hesitate to take away reservations or dilute reservations. What have they done? The 10% EWS, 10% EWS is a dilution of reservation.
Economically weaker sections getting 10% reservations.
Economically weaker sections minus the weaker sections of the scheduled caste, scheduled tribe and OBC. So what is it? Economic weaker sections of the 10% of India.
Cleared by the Supreme Court, Mr. Chidambaram. The Supreme Court ruled it constitutional. So when you say Samvidhan khatre mein hai, I want clarity. What is the Samvidhan khatre mein hai that you are claiming that you all went around the country talking about?
Let's talk about a minute about the Supreme Court judgment. 5 judges divided 3:2. Have you read the 2 powerful dissents by 2 of the most brilliant judges? So one day that 3:2 can be overturned. And I hope that that 3:2 is overturned soon.
Because there were two explanations given by some, among many, for the Congress's relatively better performance in the Lok Sabha. One was this Samvidhan Khatre Mein Hai, which was seen as fear-mongering, especially among backward castes and Dalits. The others were the SOPs in the so-called Nyay Patra, or the Nyay Patra that you call it. You were the manifesto in chief, which included giving 1 lakh per year to every woman from a BPL, below poverty line family. 1 lakh. Now many believe this is just not possible. You would not have had the budget to actually give every woman from a poor family in this country 1 lakh a year. Do you concede that you all also, in your own way, as your critics are claiming, tried to bribe the voter?
It's not 1 lakh to every woman. Please understand. Surely your wife and my wife will not get 1 lakh. None in this hall would get 1 lakh. It's 1 lakh to poor families. It's 1 lakh to poor families.
1 lakh per year to every poor Indian family under the Mahalakshmi.
You are missing the word poor. That's the crucial word.
No, but that still is a very large number of people.
No, it is a large number. I'm glad you accept that it is a large number, because the Niti Aayog puts out the number that there are no poor in this country, and the chief executive says if there are poor, it will be less than 5%. So you stand by one or the other. If the poor of this country are less than 5%, this promise applies only to that 5%. You can't have it both ways. You can't say, when you read the manifesto, there are a very large number of poor people. But if you sit with Mr. Modi and his team, you accept that only 5% are poor. You tell me, what is the number of poor in this country?
Sir, what I'm trying to understand from you, and you've been in public life for a long time, you've been finance minister several times. Do you believe we've entered this age of competitive economic populism? We are in Maharashtra, where the ruling party is saying we will give 1,500 rupees per month for every poor woman under the Ladki Bahin scheme. What is the opposition, which includes your party, saying we'll give 2,000 rupees? I saw the same thing happening in Madhya Pradesh. I see it in state after state. Before an election, every party now is announcing direct SOPs benefits. Is that something you're comfortable with?
Please understand. When I wrote that line in the manifesto and the Congress Working Committee approved it, we had done our sums. We had data before us, and I'll share the data with you. The monthly per capita expenditure, what we call MPCE, the median That is 50% are above that, 50% are above that. The median for rural India is 3,094 rupees per month. That's 100 rupees per month, per day. In urban India, it is 4,963. It's about 150 rupees a day. So 50% of the people of India are spending 100 rupees a day or 150 rupees a day. Now, forget that median. I'm not saying all of them are poor. But look at the bottom 20% and the bottom 10%. The bottom 20% spend 70 to 100 rupees a day, and the bottom 10% spend 60 to 90 rupees a day. So when we say we will address the poverty of the poor Indian family, we are talking about the 10% or the 20%. And that's doable. We have done our arithmetic, we have consulted economists, and we have consulted people who are fiscal experts, and this is doable over a period of 5 years. It's not on day one we will start issuing the checks. There will be selection, there will be adjustments, and over a period of 5 years, it's doable. So when we make a promise, when we made the promise in this manifesto, it was not an empty promise, it was not a hollow promise. I don't want to comment upon hollow promises made by other parties. The promise we made, I defended, and if we had come to power, we would have implemented it.
But let me give you where the problem comes, Mr. Chidambaram. The pension scheme. You were among the advocates of the new pension scheme originally, that we cannot go along with an old pension scheme where I get 50% of my last drawn income. Your government moved to change it. The present government brings it. The moment you went into the opposition, Mr. Chidambaram, you opposed it. Now what do we have? A unified pension scheme. Again, you seem to be opposing it, though most people believe it's a useful amendment. Is it in politics that where you stand depends on where you sit? When you're sitting in the opposition, you say one thing. When you're sitting in government, you say one thing. That's the problem in India at the moment.
I've counted 5 factual errors in your statement. First, the new pension scheme was introduced by Mr. Vajpayee's government, not by our government, number one. And number two, Vajpayee's government maintained the new pension scheme. We maintained the new pension scheme, and Mr. Modi maintained the new pension scheme for 10 years each. Altogether, for about 22 years, we maintained the new pension scheme. So don't attribute the new pension scheme only to the Congress party, number one.
No, you did not oppose it.
Just a moment. I maintained the new pension scheme. Why would I maintain the new pension scheme if I did not support it? We supported the new pension scheme because the underlying argument of the new pension scheme is an unfunded pension scheme is a fiscal disaster. I still believe that. Unfunded pension scheme is a disaster. Now, unfortunately, the government employees associations are stoutly opposed to that. And yes, political parties have adopted different positions in different states and state elections, because the state governments have to necessarily, willy-nilly follow the central government. Eventually, they will have to follow. But then, when Mr. Somanathan came to the Finance Committee, I asked him, listen, a committee has been appointed under you. Are you supporting an unfunded pension scheme? He said, no, sir. I support a funded pension scheme, but we have to find a middle way between NPS and OPS. I said, good luck. As long as you don't dilute the principle that it is a funded pension scheme, I have no objection if you are tweaking the new pension scheme. That's my position.
No, that's your position. It's not your
That's my
party's.
party's position.
No, sir. You're being, if I
Sorry.
may, sir, you said I had 5 factual errors. I may point out you're being disingenuous.
Show me
You
where
know,
the
your
party...
party goes state after state and says we will bring back the old pension scheme.
Show
From
me...
Himachal Pradesh to Telangana, you go back. In Rajasthan, old pension scheme. You come on this program and say, sir, unified pension scheme. I support it. It's a middle way.
No,
Please
no, no.
tell that to Rahul
You are
Gandhi and
putting
your
words
chief
in my
ministers.
mouth. You're putting words in my mouth. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Sir.
This is a manifesto for the national government. If a state government is wealthy enough, has the funding, has the money, resources to start a different pension scheme, let it do it. I'm talking about the national government, the central government. I'm only talking about the central government. You are mixing up state government and central government.
I'll tell you why, sir. Because your own state governments, Himachal, a good example, is struggling now with its finances. If you go with the old pension scheme in Congress-ruled states, they will suffer, and you know this better than anyone else, possible economic consequences.
I am not talking about a state government's promises, a state government's finances. I am only concerned about, I was only concerned, and I'm talking only about the central government. What the state government does is, it does according to its resources and according to its people's wishes and according to its legislature. I am talking about the central government. In the central government, as long as it's a funded pension scheme, you call it APCS or BPS or CPS, you can call it whatever pension scheme. You can call it a Rajdi pension scheme, as long as it's a funded pension scheme.
Okay, so you're telling me you support the UPS as it stands today?
I support a funded pension scheme.
Okay, that's a departure from what many others in your party say. But I want to understand this.
Where has my party said anything contrary to what I'm saying? National Party. CWC. Where is it said?
Very interesting. You're making a distinction between the national party and the state party,
Well,
sir.
State governments can follow their own policy.
Okay, sir. Let's come to the next critical issue. In your Nyay Patra, you said, Congress will conduct a nationwide socio-economic caste census to enumerate the caste, sub-caste and their social economic conditions. Based on the data, the party will strengthen the agenda for affirmative action. Then you went beyond that. The party guarantees it will pass a constitutional amendment to raise the 50% cap on reservation for SC, STs, OBCs.
Absolutely. Absolutely correct. Listen, you and I, and perhaps most people here, do not belong to SC, ST or OBC.
Yes.
We think this is the world. This is India. And we represent India. SC, ST and OBC represent close to 80 to 85% of India. Why should reservation be capped at 50? Tell me why.
Okay, I'll tell you why.
What is the logic? Which means...
Again, done by your Supreme Court. The logic is not mine. Logic is of your Supreme Court. Your meaning?
I'm telling you the Supreme Court divided 3:2. And that 3:2 can be overturned by another larger bench. Like only last month, a law that was standing for 20 years has been changed by the Mineral Development Judgment of 9 judges.
Sir, may I...
Roe versus Wade was unfortunately overturned by the US Supreme Court. This judgment, immediately after this judgment came, I wrote 3:2. I hope it's overturned.
So you hope the judgment is overturned, the cap is raised above 50%. But let me again push you a bit. Where you stand depends on where you sit. 2000, no, one
Cliché
minute.
again.
2009, you're in government. Veerappa Moily, your minister, wants to bring a caste census. Yes or no? Apparently, I don't know whether you were among those who opposed it, but I was told you were. You said you don't want a caste census. In 2011, you have a census, you have the caste enumeration, you don't make it public. In Karnataka, you carry out a caste survey, you don't make it public. And yet in this Nyay Patra, you are telling us we want to have caste census for OBC, SC, STs. Where you stand depends on where you sit, Mr. Chidambaram.
Third time, a cliché, you should find new clichés, not the cliched cliché.
Given to me by Dr. Shashi Tharoor, the party man.
Be that as it may. Listen, we support a caste census. When we were in government under Dr. Manmohan Singh, we conducted a socio-economic caste census.
Yes.
Prior to 1931, every census asked a question of caste. So asking caste in a census, in a regular decennial census, or in a special census is not unusual or out of line. Asking a question about a person's caste. We had done it in 2011, the data came, but the data had to be verified, and because there were some statisticians had pointed out some errors. We left office in 2014. Now, if that caste census is verified and it is credible, why did Mr. Modi not publish it for 10 years? Wait.
Why didn't you publish it in 2011?
I am telling you the reason. 2011 to 2014, there were errors or supposed errors pointed out in the census. And therefore, we were not able to publish it. If we had come back to power in 2014, I'm sure the credibility of that socio-economic caste census with corrections would have been done and published. But we did not come back to power in 2014. If that caste census is good enough, Mr. Modi can publish it.
Why don't you publish it in Karnataka, sir?
Karnataka was a different census, not that census. Why are you mixing up the central government's socio-economic caste census with whatever Karnataka conducted under its commission?
Sir, where I'm coming from...
why are you mixing up the two all the time?
Whether it's not at all a mix-up. Whether it's a state government or a central government, a caste census is a caste census. My limited point to you, sir, is this. What do you then do with the socio-economic caste census? Because Rahul Gandhi says, Jitni abadi utna haq. I am in Maharashtra today. Marathas are calling for reservations. There are OBCs who are saying we will not give any of our reservations to the Marathas. You say 50% cap must go. Tomorrow there will be 90% reservation then. Are you okay with that? Is Mr. P. Chidambaram a votary of India's economic liberalization, presumably of a merit-oriented society, whose party in 1984 put out a poster saying India must be driven by merit, not caste, is telling me in 2024, 40 years later, that caste will be the barometer for government action, affirmative action?
This is an entrenched, deep-seated flaw in people who do not belong to the SC, SC and OBC. We believe that merit is associated only with certain sections of the people who have been through the centuries privileged, having access to land, having access to jobs, having access to education, having access to wealth, and merit does not apply to the SC, ST and OBC. I reject that. When we say merit, merit must be tempered by equality, equal opportunity. After you give equal opportunity to everyone in a largely, by and large, equal society where every man, woman is equal to the other, then you can talk about merit.
So I'm glad you're saying this.
Whole concept of affirmative action, whole concept of reservation is based on the fact that there is merit. Merit is evenly distributed throughout the country. Look at our cricket. When I was growing up and I was playing cricket in school, the cricket players of India came from 4 or 5 metropolitan cities. Today they come from villages. Where are our chess players coming? Chess players are coming, the champions are coming from 4 or 5 metropolitan cities. I'm proud that Chennai is one among them. But you popularize chess, it's spreading. You will find chess champions coming from villages.
Sir, I am delighted you're saying this. All I am saying is this is not what your Congress party stand was in the 80s and 90s when you all were among those who even opposed VP Singh on Mandal. I am glad to see that Rahul Gandhi seems to have made you a Mandalized party today.
Listen, don't bring... I speak for the Congress party today, to you.
Sir.
I speak for the Congress party. Don't set up a mythical Congress party between us. You ask me, I speak for the Congress party.
But you agree that this is a shift in stand?
Huh?
This is a shift in stand.
No, it is an articulated stand. You have not understood our articulated stand. It's not my fault.
Okay, so just one final word on this before I move on. When Rahul Gandhi says, Jitni abadi utna haq, are
What
you
is-
saying 80-90% reservation if necessary?
You please translate it word by word.
Okay, I'll translate. Jitni abadi means how much population, rights will be proportionate to population. Jitni abadi utna haq. So if Maharashtra has 30% Marathas, they will get 30% reservation. If backward castes are 40%, they will get 40%. Eventually, everyone will get reservations based on population, or at least.
Listen, how this reservation is structured in India is only in broad categories. There is SC, there is ST, there is OBC.
Right.
Within OBC, some states have created an MBC or EBC or whatever. So it's not caste-wise. It's caste plus the broad classification into SC, ST and OBC. SC itself has several divisions. You don't divide it unit by unit. It's SC, ST, OBC. What Mr. Rahul Gandhi meant was, if the SC used to be 17, 18, 15%
15%.
central government, some states it's 16, 17. SC will get 16%. It's not atomic division subcaste wise. It's three broad groupings. It's perfect. That's worked in this country.
Okay, so
for the
SC,
last-
ST, OBCs will be the three broad groupings who get the
Correct.
benefit of reservation.
That's correct.
May I ask you, therefore, as we've just seen 3 years, the Modi government celebrating 10 years, listing out all their achievements. And I want you now to be objective. What are the three biggest achievements, first of all? We'll come to the weakness in a moment. The three biggest achievements of the Modi government. If you were to give them credit, you're a columnist, so you can be objective. Give me three big achievements of the Modi government that you say, well done, in the last 10 years.
I'll leave you an interview with Mr. Modi. From first word to the last word is about his achievements. I don't have to speak about his achievements. You speak about his achievements. I represent the opposition. I will point out the deficiencies, the failures of his government. That's my job. His job is to extol his virtues and his achievements.
Would you agree
Your
that,
job is to judge.
Would you agree that infrastructure in particular, cleaning up the banking sector and digital infrastructure are three big achievements? Because I remember on the floor of the House, you had raised questions over UPI and whether some poor farmer in a village would be able to use digital. India now has 42% of the world's digital transactions every day. That's remarkable. Are you willing to say, I got it wrong, mea culpa, Mr. Modi got digital infrastructure right?
All right. Firstly, I pointed out the shortfalls of the digital architecture which they are rolling out in certain context. The context was, the government said, the Prime Minister said, we are moving towards a cashless society. I pointed out, how can you be a cashless society? Even Germany and Europe is not a cashless society. And what happened? Have you looked at the growth rate of digital transactions? Have you also looked at the growth rate of the cash in circulation? On demonetization day, on demonetization day, cash in circulation was about 16 or 17 lakh crore. Today, cash in circulation is 34 lakh crore. People want cash, use cash. You can't go to a cashless society. When I pointed out cashless society, the government did a somersault and said, no, we mean a less cash society. Fine, you can have less cash, but cash cannot be wished away. That is the context in which I say, don't claim that you will roll out digital architecture right throughout the country and all transactions will be digital. Now you are being hit by another idea, that digital transactions will be taxed. Now everybody's in a uproar. Do you know the kind of money which the payment system extracts from you? Every time you use a cash card, a credit card, a debit card, you do a digital transaction, somebody's making a huge amount of money. When I give you cash, nobody in between makes money. Now it's hitting people that digital is useful. Digital is a great improvement. Digital has made money transfers very good. Nobody is questioning that. But digital will be there. Cash will also be there.
Okay.
Number one. Number two, remember, in digital transactions, somebody between you and me is making a profit.
Okay, since you spoke about cricket, what were you, a batsman or a bowler? You said while growing up you played cricket.
I was a failure as a batsman and a failure as a bowler. So okay. I gave up cricket.
But let me give you therefore a full toss at the end. Since you're saying you're not going to give the achievements of the Modi government, give me the three big...
No,
1 minute.
I don't deny what you said. That he has rolled out infrastructure. He rolled out infrastructure. There's no doubt about it. Because take roads, for example. It started in Vajpayee's Golden Quadrilateral. We vastly improved it over the next 10 years. Mr. Modi has vastly improved it over 10 years. Why? Because we have large companies. Companies have grown bigger. They can accept bigger projects. Technology has changed.
Banks are in better health, but I want to ask...
Banks are in better health from your point of view. If I go to the villages, they tell me banks don't give education loans. Banks don't give agricultural loans. They want us to pledge gold. And gold loans, they are disguised as gold loans, but it's really for agriculture.
Okay, so
Two. Yes. Therefore, banks are better for you, for maybe for me, not for the poor people.
Okay, our time's up, but I still want to therefore ask you very quickly. The three things that the Congress party would do, which this government has not done, the three weaknesses of the Modi, easier for you, that's why I said full toss. Three weaknesses of the Modi government and how the Congress would address it in 1 minute. Your time starts now.
The three weaknesses of the Modi government is institutional capture.
Okay, one. Which you did not do. You didn't reduce the CBI to a cage parrot. Okay.
Institutions are not CBI and ED. Institutions are the various, for example, the environmental committees are 60% to 70% vacant. Okay. Environmental Protection Committee, institutional capture, institutional neglect is number one.
Which you would change, right?
Number two, there is infrastructure is being built, no doubt about it, but it's not infrastructure for the poor. It's infrastructure biased towards the rich. For example, do you know that the number of unreserved compartments, second-class compartments, second-class sleeper berths have been drastically cut to roll out Vande Bharat and the other fancy trains. And the fare has been hiked by 30% to 40%. The infrastructure must bias towards the infrastructure required for the poor. You build your national highways where you can drive your Mercedes-Benz, but also build the rural road to the village. Make sure that the water supply to the village.
Third and final.
Number two. Number three, this misuse of investigating agency, which is holding back our economic growth. I have spoken to hundreds. I was on a flight yesterday. One flight, I met a couple of industrialists, one flight. Everybody has a fear. Everybody has a fear that somebody will knock on his door in the midnight. Small businessmen to big businessmen, which is holding back economic. See, trade, MSMEs, particularly trade, in the MSMEs, export, import, all that depends if you are left free. Yes, he may make mistakes. He may break the law here and there. Punish him. Okay. Do you know that GST authorities are beginning to arrest people? Now, have you heard of sales tax and excise? In all my career as a lawyer, I've heard of an isolated case here, an isolated case there for an excise violation or a sales tax violation. Somebody was arrested, he was let out on bail. Today, GST guy threatens you, arrest or pay. Pay or arrest. Now, if GST is going to become another ED, another SFIO, another CBI, another the Narcotics Bureau, they won't tell you. Talk to them separately.
Okay, you're saying fear is in the air.
Fear is in the air. We banished some of it. We prevented spreading by this election result, and I congratulate the people of India for cutting down Mr. Modi to size. I wish they had cut him down by another 40 seats. He would not be in power.
Well, if they had cut him down by another 40, you might have become finance minister once again.
Well, I'm not looking to become finance minister, but we would have certainly, if I become minister, I'll become a minister for cleaning up. 2 years it will take to clean up all the monstrosities that they have done to various parts of Indian government.
Okay. Mr. P. Chidambaram was speaking very plainly. I hope that the ED doesn't knock on your door tomorrow morning. With that hope, I leave you here. Ladies and gentlemen, P. Chidambaram on the Congress manifesto and what he believes is right and wrong with the Modi government. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us.
Thank you.